ready for a significant change in your life? Do you wish you could handle life's ups and downs with more grace and less stress? If so, you've come to the right place. This guide introduces you to Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that's incredibly relevant and helpful in our modern times. But this isn't just about learning ancient wisdom. It's about applying these ideas to truly transform how you think and act every day. Stoicism teaches us how to break free from old, unhelpful habits and embrace a new way of living. You'll learn to face challenges with a calm mind and see each difficulty as an opportunity to grow stronger and wiser. By adopting Stoic principles, you can turn everyday stress into a chance to develop resilience and achieve inner peace. In this guide, you'll find easy-to-follow steps and practical tips to help you remain composed and productive in any situation. We'll cover how to manage your emotions, make thoughtful decisions, and live with a sense of purpose. As you apply these teachings, you'll notice a profound transformation in your approach to life. Keep listening and start putting these lessons into practice. You'll not only change, you'll begin anew, equipped with tools for a better, more fulfilling life. This is your path to becoming the best version of yourself, empowered by the enduring wisdom of Stoicism. Get ready to reinvent yourself and live with newfound strength and clarity. Would you believe that the key to turning your biggest problems into your biggest chances may have been found more than 2,000 years ago? Think about going through life's storms with an inner peace that is so strong that nothing could shake it. That sounds like an ability, does it not? It's not just a dream, though. This ability from long ago. It's an old idea that still works today, just like it did in the busy markets and marble rooms of ancient Rome and Greece. Stoicism tells us that we have complete control over how we respond, even if we can't change everything about our lives. These lessons could be the grounding we've all been looking for in a world where doubt seems to be the only thing that is certain. What if I told you that Stoicism is more about what you do than what you think? No matter what life throws at you, it's about having a life of purpose, resilience, and happiness. It's not about hiding your feelings. It's about knowing them and taking charge of them so you can live a better life. Stay here if you're dealing with stress, going through hard times, or just want to find more joy in your daily life. Now we're going to learn more about Stoicism, its timeless wisdom, and how it can change not only how we think, but also how we live. Focusing on what you can control is the first step. Have you ever been angry because you were stuck in traffic, or going through your phone and getting mad because someone left a bad review on your post? We're all guilty of it sometimes. It seems like these little tests happen all the time and put our happiness and peace of mind to the test every time. Stoicism, an amazing theory that comes from ancient Greece and Rome, gives us a strong tool, focused on what we can control. This can turn all that anger and rage on its head. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters, said Epictetus, a famous Stoic philosopher. We have no control over things like traffic, bad weather, and mean comments. No matter how much we want to, we can't change them. What we can change, though, is how we deal with them. Modern science also backs up this idea, so it's not just old wisdom. Carl Jung, a famous psychologist, said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." This is a great way to think about the Stoic way of life, being aware that the only real power we have is over our own actions, thoughts, and responses. Let us break it down. Let's say you're stuck in traffic and running late for a meeting. Although you could get angry, honk your horn, and stress out during that time, it won't make the cars ahead of you go faster. You could also take a deep breath, accept what's going on, and use the time to listen to music, a podcast, or an audiobook. The traffic hasn't changed, but how you deal with it has. That change makes you feel less stressed, and the day seems a little better. Focusing on what you can control is a Stoic concept that applies to a lot more than just dealing with traffic or bad weather. It affects our personal goals, how we treat other people, and how we deal with problems in life. You have control over your thought, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength, as another Stoic heavyweight, Marcus Aurelius, tells us. If not, let it go. Ask yourself, is this within my control? Pay attention to how you respond, what you think, and what you do. This small change can have a huge effect on your happiness and stress levels. It's not always easy, but you should do it every day. Do not forget that the goal is growth, not perfection. We will not only survive life's problems, but also thrive in spite of them if we learn to focus more on what we can control. 2. Seeing problems as chances to learn and grow. Stoicism teaches us how to see problems as chances to learn and grow. It doesn't make sense, does it? Most of us are taught to see problems as just that, things that are getting in the way of our happiness and success. Stoics, on the other hand, like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, tell a different story. People tell us that when bad things happen in life, we should not ask, why me, but what can I learn? This is a huge shift in perspective. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way, wrote Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius in his personal writings. What he means by this is that every obstacle, no matter how big or scary, not only tests our resilience, but also teaches us important lessons. It's about seeing the good in bad events and using that to fuel our growth. Philosophers from the past and present both agree with this point of view. This is what the famous psychologist Carl Jung said: "What you resist persists." When we fight against problems, we give them more power over us. We can get past them, though, if we accept them and learn from them. When you have a tough attitude, you see problems as opportunities to get stronger and smarter. Let's make it useful. Let's say that job applications have been turned down. Self-pity and doubt can make it easy to get stuck. But what if you saw every turn down as feedback? You might need to work on a skill or come up with a new way to look for a job. That change in attitude can turn a string of rejections into a way to grow as a worker. Conflicts between people are another example. They're painful and stressful, but they give you a chance to work on your speech, patience, and sensitivity. Every argument is a chance to learn about other points of view and get better at handling disagreements. To turn problems into chances, we need to ask ourselves, what can this situation teach me? This way, we stop being silent victims of our circumstances and start actively learning and solving problems. While this doesn't make it easy to deal with problems, it does help us approach them in a way that helps us grow and learn. When bad things happen, how you handle them is what counts, as Epictetus said. This is the essence of Stoicism. What it means is looking past the pain or anger of a problem to find the lessons and chances it gives you. When you meet a problem, no matter how big or small, try to stop and think about it in a new way. The situation can make you better and smarter. Ask yourself what you can learn from it. Remember that problems aren't just things you have to get past. They're chances to learn and grow. We can handle the ups and downs of life with more grace, resilience, and wisdom if we adopt this calm attitude. 3. Being in the present. We hear about it all the time, right? Some people say, live in the now. What does that mean, and why is it so important? To live in the present moment, you have to fully accept and enjoy where you are right now. Not thinking about the things you'll worry about tomorrow or the things you'll wish you hadn't done yesterday. Realizing that all of life's beauty, difficulties and shocks happen in the present moment is what it's about. This idea isn't brand new. As Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus all said, this is one of the most important ideas in Stoic thought. Modern scientists and writers have said it again and again. Allow us to begin with the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius said, "Do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment." He knew that living in the present moment is powerful because it grounds us, clears our minds of distractions, and lets us enjoy the richness of life as it changes. But why is staying here so hard? Our minds are full of thoughts, whether they are fears about what will happen next or memories of things that have already happened. We can't enjoy the beauty and possibilities of the present moment when our minds are busy with this noise. Carl Jung, a famous psychologist, said, "The least of things with a meaning is worth more in life than the greatest of things without it." Being in the present moment gives meaning to the little things that happen to us every day, making our lives so much better. To reach eudaimonia, or a state of being happy, healthy and wealthy, Aristotle said it was important to be aware of the present moment. He thought that we could live a good life and make the most of our human experience by focusing on the present moment. How then can we get better at living in the present? Paying attention to the present moment without judging it is the first step. Enjoy every bite of food you eat. Pay attention to how the ground feels under your feet as you walk. Don't think about what you're going to say next when someone is talking to you. Instead, listen carefully. These easy ways to be aware bring us back to the present and give our lives more depth and meaning. Seneca shared this piece of wisdom. True happiness is to enjoy the present without worrying about the future. To live in the present, you can't forget about the past or ignore the future. We need to find a way to learn from the past and make plans for the future without having those things take over our present. This balance is where we find happiness and peace. Remember that every moment is a chance to start over and focus on the present. We live, love, and make memories in the present. Allow us to consciously strive to be more present in our lives. Let us enjoy the present moment, because this is where life really happens. 4. Getting more self-discipline. I know that the word self-discipline might make you think of strict routines and a life with no fun. Let's change that scene, though. Self-discipline doesn't mean putting limits on your life. It means giving yourself the power to make decisions that are in line with your core values and long-term goals. There's a difference between what's easy and what's right for you. Being self-disciplined is all about being in charge of ourselves. Even when it's hard, we have to say yes to things that help us and no to things that don't. Take a look. These decisions, like sticking to a workout plan, saving money instead of buying something on a whim, or turning off Netflix to work on a project, may not give you quick pleasure, but they set you up for long-term success and happiness. The Stoics have a lot to say about how to be disciplined. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, said, "You have power over your mind, not over outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This strong quote shows what self-discipline is all about. It's about being able to control our feelings, thoughts, and actions, even when life throws us opportunities and other things to do. On this topic, Seneca also gives wisdom. Instead of letting our wants control us, he tells us to be strong and in charge of our wants. Surely he knew that real freedom comes from being able to control our own wants and needs. But why is self-control so important? An old Greek philosopher named Aristotle can help us understand this better. He thought that habits are the best way to achieve greatness and virtue. We can form habits that help us become our best selves by being self-disciplined. It's not about having strong willpower once in a while. It's about making choices all the time that are in line with our ideals and goals. Developing self-discipline is also related to what we know about how the mind works now. Carl Jung, a pioneer in psychology, said that to live fully, we need to bring together all of our different parts of ourselves. Self-discipline is needed for this combination because we have to deal with the wants of different parts of our mind and pick ways that are good for our general health and growth. How can we become more self-disciplined in our daily lives? Start out small. Pick one thing you want to change, like the way you eat, work out, or spend your money. Every day, take it easy and set clear goals that you can reach. Self-discipline is something you build every time you make a choice that helps you reach your goals. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly. You can become more self-disciplined by doing small things over and over again." It's not about being perfect, but about making progress. Each day brings new chances to be self-disciplined and pick actions that help us become more like the people we want to be. It takes time to become more self-disciplined. It's about figuring out how to get what we want most and what we want now. It's about making decisions that are tough at the time, but will help us reach our long-term goals and be happy and at peace. Let's commit to this journey together and help each other do what's right instead of what's easy. Remember that self-discipline is the key to reaching our goals and having a life we love. Building mental resilience is the fifth step. We all feel a lot of different things when life throws us curveballs. It's normal to feel angry, sad, or upset as a person. The important thing is not just how we feel, but also how we deal with those feelings. Emotional resilience can help in situations like these. We can handle life's storms with ease and come out better on the other side if we have emotional resilience. It's about recognizing our feelings, trying to understand them, and then taking steps to move forward instead of letting our feelings carry us away. The Stoics talked a lot about this. Marcus Aurelius says, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." People need to understand that they can't always control what happens to them, but they can choose how to react to it. What we do doesn't have to be controlled by how we feel. Seneca gives us wisdom on how to deal with difficulties without losing our cool. He teaches us that the hard things in life test our character and resilience. We can become smarter and stronger by dealing with our feelings with compassion and patience. How, then, do we cultivate mental resilience? Being self-aware is the first step. Being aware of our feelings and behaviors helps us learn more about who we are. We can feel what we're feeling and not act on it right away. Instead, we can choose to act in a way that fits with our ideals and is good for our long-term health. Aristotle talked about the golden mean, which is the point where too much and too little are equal. Emotional resilience is a great example of this idea. It's about dealing with our feelings in a healthy way rather than ignoring them or letting them take over. Carl Jung, one of the founders of psychology, said that we need to integrate all parts of our minds in order to be whole. Dealing with our feelings, understanding them, and learning from them are all parts of this process. Developing emotional resilience is fundamentally about this. So, what should you do when you're feeling very emotional? First, let yourself feel what you feel. Accept your feelings without judging them. After that, take a step back and try to figure out what made you feel this way. This thought can help you understand your mental habits and what sets them off. How you react, what happens to you, not what happens to you, Epictetus said. This is a strong lesson that how we deal with our feelings can change the way we experience things. We don't have to react. We can choose to react in a way that is helpful and healing. It takes time to build mental resilience. It requires practice being aware, thinking about yourself, and being patient. It means putting together a set of ways to deal with things, like writing in a notebook, talking to a trusted friend, or learning how to relax. The most important thing is to be kind and compassionate to yourself as you deal with your feelings. Emotional resilience is not the absence of bad emotions. Rather, it is the ability to ride the waves of those emotions with ease and emerge stronger and more self-aware. We give ourselves the power to face life's problems with courage and poise when we build mental resilience. We should all go on this trip together and help each other become more mentally strong so that we can live a fuller life. Remember that you are going to die. Great thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus were Stoics. They didn't use this idea to scare people, but to make them value every moment more. They thought that if we thought about how death was going to happen, we would live more fully, knowingly, and gratefully in the moment. In his meditations, Marcus Aurelius often thought about how short life is and how we should live our lives in a way that is true to our ideals and makes the most of the time we have. He wrote, "You could end your life right now. Let that guide what you do, say, and think." This isn't a sad message. It's a call to action, a warning to remember what's important, to let go of small worries, and to live with purpose and honesty. Seneca also talked about how short life is, and told us not to waste time on useless things, but to focus on making our lives have value. He thought that thinking about death makes us smarter and more appreciative of our relationships and experiences. Epictetus said that we should live in the moment and try to make the most of our time. We're more likely to live morally and enjoy the beauty and wealth of life if we remember that we won't live forever. However, how can we use memento mori in our daily lives without making it feel like a dark cloud over our heads? It starts with changing how we see things. Thinking about death doesn't have to be scary. It can be a strong way to push ourselves to live our lives to the best. It's about living in the present and not putting off our hopes, dreams, or happiness for an unknown and uncertain future. Do the things you've been putting off. It could be following an interest, spending time with loved ones, or just stopping to enjoy the little things in life. We should not waste our time, as Memento Mori tells us. We are more likely to be present in our lives, say what we mean, and love freely when we do this. This idea also helps us understand how temporary life is, which makes us value the times we have even more. We are more likely to value our experiences, live more carefully, and show thanks for the people and moments that make our lives better when we remember that time is limited. Let's not use Memento Mori to make us afraid. Instead, let's use it to help us grow, be grateful, and value life more. Let it tell us to choose things that are in line with our core values, to value our relationships, and to enjoy the beauty of the present. We should live our lives more fully today because we know that we will die one day. Memoria Mori is a strong way to tell ourselves not to live in fear of death, but to enjoy life. We shouldn't live each moment to the fullest because we're afraid of the end, but because we love life. Before we die, let's live our lives so that we don't have any regrets. We want to know that we loved deeply, lived fully, and enjoyed the amazing trip that life is. The idea of practicing thanks is so easy, but it can have such a big effect on our lives. Instead of focusing on what we're missing, we should move our attention to what we do have. This can really change things, especially on days when it seems like everything is against you. The Stoics were very smart, and they talked a lot about being thankful. They thought that having more wouldn't make people happy. Instead, they thought that being grateful for what they already had would. Marcus Aurelius wrote a lot about how important it is to live in the moment and enjoy the little things in life. He told them, "When you wake up in the morning, think of what a precious gift it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. This is the highest form of gratitude, appreciating the value of life and all the gifts it gives us every day." Seneca talked about how our wants can get in the way, making us keep looking for more and more without ever being truly satisfied. He said we can be truly happy if we pay attention to what we already have and realize that the best things in life are right around the corner. Epictetus, who was known for applying Stoic ideas to everyday life, told his followers to be grateful for what they had at the moment, no matter what it was. He thought that we could live a fuller life if we accepted and found worth in the way things were right now. But how do we show thanks, especially when bad things happen in our lives? Making it a daily habit is the first step. Take a moment every morning or evening to think about 3 things you're thankful for. Just a warm cup of coffee, a chat with a friend, or the beauty of a sunset could do the trick. Focusing on the good changes the way our brains work, which improves our happiness and view on life in general. Being grateful also means accepting problems and learning from them. We can change our question from, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What can I learn from this?" This can help us see all of our events, good and bad, as important steps on our journey. Practicing thanks also makes our relationships with other people better. By telling the people in our lives how much we appreciate them, we not only make their day, but we also make our relationships stronger. A thank you can show someone a lot about how much you care about and love them. Aristotle talked about how important it is to look for the good in our lives and try to live a good life. He thought that being thankful was an important part of gaining eudaimonia, or true happiness, because it helps us see the good in ourselves and the world around us. Even current science agrees that being thankful is good for you. Studies have shown that people who regularly show thanks feel less stressed, sleep better, and have a better view on life. As Carl Jung once said, the word happiness would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. We can find a deeper, more real kind of happiness by recognizing and being thankful for all of our experiences. Let's make being thankful an important part of our everyday lives. Let's enjoy the little things, be grateful for the times we connect, and be happy about the little wins. It's possible to feel abundant and happy from the inside out if we focus on what we have instead of what we're missing. Always remember that being thankful makes us happy, not happy making us thankful. There is a lot of beauty in being thankful for what we have. Let's raise our glasses and toast to that. Let's find the good in every situation, even when things look bad. Focusing on personal excellence. The Stoics knew a lot about what it meant to be excellent as a person. They thought that virtue or greatness was the only good thing, and that we should do everything we can to live a good life. For instance, Marcus Aurelius is a great example of someone who always tried to be the best. He once said, "Don't argue about what a good man should be one." This simple but powerful statement sums up what it means to be a good person. It means taking on the ideals we value and working to follow them every day. Seneca stressed how important it was to learn and improve oneself. He pushed for a life that was in line with nature and logic, saying that real greatness comes from within and shows up in the things we do and the decisions we make. Epictetus stressed how important it is to take responsibility for one's actions in order to achieve greatness. He taught that we have control over our responses, emotions, and will, and that understanding these things is essential to living a virtue-filled life. But what does it mean to strive for personal greatness in our daily lives? Setting personal standards based on our values and goals, not on what other people have done or what society expects of us, is the first step. It's about being aware of who we are, knowing our skills and flaws, and consistently working to get better. Resilience is a key component of personal success. It's not just about our wins, it's also about how we deal with losses and mistakes. Aristotle said, "Excellence is never an accident. It is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. This means that instead of seeing problems as problems to be solved, you should see them as chances to learn and grow. Having a growth attitude, which is supported by modern psychology, is also an important part of focusing on personal success. It's the idea that we can improve our skills and knowledge by working hard and being dedicated. This way of thinking tells us to take on tasks, keep going even when things go wrong, and see hard work as a way to success. Being personally excellent also means living in an honest way. It means staying true to our ideals and selves, even when things get tough. It's about making decisions that show who we are and who we want to be, and being proud of our journey, both the good and the bad parts. As we already talked about, showing thanks is linked to being a good person. We can keep a good attitude that helps our growth and well-being by being grateful for what we have and where we are on our journey. Let's promise to keep our attention on personal greatness. Let's make our own rules, accept our individual roots, and be proud of our success. Don't forget that being proud of who we are and how we live is more important than being perfect. It's about being proud of our work, learning from our mistakes, and always trying to be the best versions of ourselves. Let's make being the best person we can be a way of life, not just a goal. Don't care what other people think. In a world full of social media, where likes, follows, and comments often determine our self-worth, it's easy to let other people's views affect how we see ourselves. But here's a freeing truth. Other people don't decide how valuable you are. It means being honest with yourself, accepting who you are, and living in line with your beliefs. There was a lot that the Stoics, those old thinkers we always look to for timeless wisdom, had to say about this. They taught that the only way to find inner peace and happiness is to focus on what we can control, our deeds, our thoughts, and our honesty, not on what other people think. Marcus Aurelius said something wise. I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the other men, but yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinions of others. This interesting thought brings to light a problem that many of us have. We value other people's opinions of us more than our own. Seneca agreed with this idea and said it was important to live a life that was true to yourself and not based on what other people want or think of you. He thought that real happiness comes from inside, from living a life that is in line with our ideals and beliefs. For Epictetus, thinking about what other people think is out of our control, so it's not worth our time. Instead, he told us to think about our own deeds and how to live a good life, because that's where our real power lies. How can we care less about what other people think and more about being ourselves? The first thing you need to know is that you write your own life story. You decide how much you're worth, not society, your friends on social media, or the people around you. It means putting your self-esteem in what makes you unique, like the ideals you stand for, the kindness you show, and the work you do to be your best self. Second, think about yourself. Your actions may become more in line with your true self if you ask yourself, whose life am I living? Am I making choices based on my desires, or am I trying to fit into someone else's mold? Third, be open to being vulnerable. To be true to yourself, you have to be honest about your flaws and know that ideal is a lie. You can be a work in progress, make mistakes, and learn from them. Being honest brings the right people into your life, those who like you for who you are. You should also remember what Aristotle said about the golden mean, which means finding balance in life. When it comes to caring about what other people think, it means finding a good mix between being open to helpful criticism and keeping our independence and sense of self-worth. To live with a Stoic attitude, we need to know that our worth comes from our morals, our deeds, and our desire to live a worthwhile life, not from praise or support from other people. It's about building a strong inner wall that can't be broken by other people's views. Let's promise to value ourselves for who we are, not for the support, likes, or follows we get. Let's be brave about being ourselves and living lives that are in line with our inner truths. Remember that you are valuable and special on your own, and that being true to yourself is the best way to shine your light. Let's not just get through life, but really live in it, knowing that we are living in a way that is true to ourselves, in line with our ideals, and in line with our actions. Being open to change. Here's the thing. Being open to change is not only important, it's essential for our growth and happiness. In fact, life only stays the same. It changes. When you learn to accept that things will change in your life, going through them becomes less scary and more of a journey. The Stoics had a very healthy view of how things change. They thought it was just the way the universe worked. Marcus Aurelius said, "Accept whatever comes to you as woven into the pattern of your destiny, for what could better fit your needs?" This deep acceptance of change as a part of life helps us see that every change, good or bad, has a job to do in our story. Seneca taught that if we get too connected to the things that are happening to us right now, we will be let down, because they will change. He told us to be open to change and know that it's not just a part of life, but also an important part of growing up and being happy. We should know the difference between what we can control and what we can't, according to Epictetus. He said that while we can't control the things that happen around us, we can control how we feel about them. When it comes to living with change, this way of thinking is very helpful. We need to think about how we will react, look for ways to grow in the changes that are happening, and keep going with resilience. But what can we do to be more open to change? First, by realizing that things will change. It is the way things should be. Everything around us is always changing. The seasons shift, people come and go, and even our cells are turning over right now. When you accept change, you accept life itself. Second, by being more aware. Being present in the present moment lets us enjoy what we're doing without holding on to it. Being aware of these things makes it easier to accept when those situations change or stop. Third, look for lessons in change. Every change in our lives, no matter how hard, gives us a chance to learn and grow. When things go wrong, we shouldn't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, we should ask, "What can I learn from this?" This change in viewpoint can help us grow as people. As the key to happiness, Aristotle said it was important to live a good life. Being able to handle life's changes with kindness and wisdom is part of being virtue. It's about finding unity and balance in life's ups and downs. This Stoic way of dealing with change is supported by modern science. We can feel a lot less stressed and anxious when we see change as a chance instead of a threat. Strengthening our resilience can help us deal with whatever life throws at us. Let's remember ourselves that we shouldn't just deal with change, we should accept it as a normal and helpful part of our journey. By being open to change, we let new things happen, grow, and our unique life paths to unfold in a beautiful way. Remember that going with the flow doesn't mean being passive. It means being involved with life in all of its changing forms. Let's ride the waves of change with bravery, grace, and an open heart to all the new opportunities it brings. We're all in this together, managing the complicated road of life, so let's show kindness and understanding, even though we are different. Making the world a better, more loving place is something we can all do by showing others grace and understanding. The ideals of kindness and understanding were highly valued by the ancient thinkers known as the Stoics, whose timeless wisdom continues to illuminate us today. They thought that all people were linked and taught that being kind and understanding to others is an important part of having a good life. Marcus Aurelius, for example, told us that people are naturally social and intended to live together peacefully and cooperatively. Somebody once said, "What doesn't help the hive helps the bee." This is a great example of how our happiness is connected to the happiness of others. Seneca stressed how important it was to be kind and generous to others. He said that caring about other people is a normal part of being human, and that helping others helps us too. Through his works, Seneca urges us to feel sorry for others, even those who have hurt us, because they are also dealing with their own problems and limits. Epictetus said that we should try to see things from other people's points of view and remember that everyone does what they do for a reason. This doesn't mean approving of bad behavior. It means approaching others with understanding and trying to understand their feelings and points of view. But how can we show kindness and care in our everyday lives? The first step is to really listen to what other people have to say about their lives, experiences and feelings. It means picturing their problems, their happiness, their fears, and their dreams. This act of understanding can bring us closer together and make us feel like we have a lot in common. Kindness is another way to help people understand and care about others. A smile, a kind word, or just being there to listen can all make someone's day better, no matter how small. Being present and paying attention to other people shows that we care about them and that their thoughts and feelings are real and important. Being compassionate and empathetic also means being there for other people when they need you, supporting and understanding them without judging them. It's about understanding that everyone is valuable and worthy, no matter how different we are. Ancient Greek thinker Aristotle wrote about how friendship and understanding are important for making relationships strong and valuable. Besides sharing each other's happiness, he thought that real friends also shared each other's sadness and helped each other through kindness and understanding. The focus of Stoic philosophy on kindness and understanding is supported by modern psychology, which shows that these qualities improve not only our relationships, but also our own mental health. Caring for others makes us feel like we belong, gives our lives purpose, and makes us happy. Let's remember that every person has a story to tell and a reason for doing what they do. If we understand and care about each other, we can make the world a better place. We not only make the lives of those around us better, but we also find more happiness and satisfaction in our own. Let's be kind to each other like confetti, sending out waves of compassion that change the world, one act of sensitivity at a time. When we regularly reflect and review, we take a real important pause to think about what we've done, what we've thought, and the roads we've taken. We need to grow, think about ourselves, and make sure our lives are in line with our core values. This practice is our anchor in a world that is always moving forward. It keeps us from getting carried away and helps us move in the direction that is true to us. With their deep understanding of people, the Stoics put a lot of value on the act of thought. In his personal works, which we now treasure as meditations, Marcus Aurelius showed us how to do this. He didn't just run a kingdom, he also thought about his own life, the choices he made, and what was right and wrong. In order to live a life of virtue and purpose, he saw writing as important. "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts," he wrote, telling us that what we say to ourselves affects what we see and experience in the outside world. Seneca said that evaluating yourself on a daily basis was a good way to achieve wisdom and improve yourself. He said that life was like a play and suggested that we look at our parts and acts from time to time. Are our actions in line with the person we want to be? Does what we do match the script we value, the story of our lives? Epictetus told his students to think about what they did and how they felt at the end of each day. This wasn't about judging yourself, it was about getting to know yourself better and growing. He told us to think about what we did well. What went wrong? What tasks were not completed? These kinds of questions help us take a more deliberate look at our lives and make changes that bring us closer to our goals. But how can we use this Stoic habit of thinking about and reviewing things in our everyday lives? To begin, make it a habit. Every day, set aside a few minutes to think about the day. This could be before bed. Which wins did you have? Where did problems come up, and how did you deal with them? You can do this as a thought exercise at first, but writing it down can make it more useful and give you a physical record of your trip. Second, use thought as a way to show thanks. When you think back on the day, write down the little things that made you happy or thankful. This keeps our normal tendency to think about the bad things in check, which helps us have a better view on life. Third, treat yourself with kindness and care as you do this practice. When you reflect, you shouldn't berate yourself for making mistakes. Instead, you should see them as chances to learn and grow. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would give to a close friend. Aristotle talked about how important it is to think about your life. He thought that real wisdom comes from knowing what we do, why we do it, and how we fit into the world. This thought is the core of living a life that has been examined and is in line with virtue and greatness. Modern psychology has a lot of research on the benefits of regular thought, such as better mental health, a clearer sense of purpose, and personal growth. Thinking about the things that happen to us helps us deal with our feelings, understand what went wrong, and make better choices in the future. Let's make it a habit to regularly think about and review what we've done. Let it serve as a guide to make sure we're not just idly living our lives, but also changing them in line with our ideals. By taking the time to reflect on the past, we gain the knowledge we need to move forward more in line with who we are and who we want to be. Let's enjoy this trip of self-reflection, because getting to know ourselves is the way to true happiness and satisfaction. These Stoicism lessons aren't just old wisdom, they're also practical advice that can help us handle stress, make smarter choices, and find peace in the midst of chaos. Remember that the obstacles we face, the strength we gain, the wisdom we gain, and the kindness we share are what make us who we are. Every step you take, thought you have, and kind act is a brushstroke in the painting that is your life. Let's not just survive, let's live fully, with purpose and honestly. Don't be afraid of being alone. It's better than being with bad people. Everything in our lives has energy that doesn't always work for us. Letting go shows you that holding on to the past stops you from beginning new things. This part tells you to clean up your life like a house so that new air and light can come in and start a journey of freedom and self-discovery. We will learn how to let go of the things that are stopping us and make room for new opportunities. For those who want to find insight, peace, and a new purpose, this is a call that shows how letting go can be an act of renewal. Time apart, realizing the deep truth that being by yourself is often infinitely more valuable than staying with people who bring us down. This topic takes us on an inner trip where we can learn more about ourselves and grow as people by briefly separating ourselves from parts of our lives that don't connect with our true selves. Getting some distance from something is important because it gives us a chance to see things from a different point of view, to look at our feelings and thoughts with fresh eyes. This process isn't just a way to separate ourselves, it's also a way to clean up and reflect on our lives, which helps us see how our relationships and events really affect us. We can start over and learn more about ourselves when we give ourselves this holy place to breathe, think, and most importantly, heal. During this time of choosing to be alone, we're not saying goodbye to past relationships for good. Instead, it's a necessary break that gives us a chance to reconnect with our truest values and goals. In this quiet place, we are pushed to do things that really show what we're interested in and passionate about, whether that means rekindling old hobbies or trying new things that make us see more options. The goal of this strategic distance is not to cut ties for good, but to give us the space we need to heal and grow. As time goes on, this practice of stepping back lets us look at how we felt about certain people or situations before with a new, clearer, more distant lens. This lets us make choices in the future that are better for our growth. Being apart from each other becomes not only a way to clean our lives of bad things, but also a celebration of our ability to start over and change. We promise to be at peace and happy inside and to take each step forward with purpose, wisdom, and a lighter heart in the future if we welcome this time of self-reflection and self-awareness. There is real power in giving yourself time and room. It leads to freedom and the finding of your true self. Figuring out the difference between need and want, between basic needs and temporary wants, is like going on a trek to the center of our being. Our needs are as important to us as the air we breathe and the love we share. They support our lives. They are what keeps us going and make sure that not only do we stay alive, but our mental health also grows. On the other hand, wants rise on top of our longings like waves on the water, promising quick happiness, but not having the substance to keep us going in our search for lasting happiness. Going deeper into this self-reflection is an adventure that goes beyond the surface. It's a call to dive into the deepest parts of our souls and think about what the things we want are really worth. This brave asking forces us to see past the short-term appeal of material things and welcome the real wealth that keep us alive. On this trip, we are led by the freedom from ties that aren't necessary. This freedom goes beyond distance and leads to a deep awareness of what we already have. Then, gratitude isn't just a way to say thank you. It's a state of being that goes beyond words, a joy of how full life is when it's simple and real. This process is similar to Stoic wisdom. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little that is poor. It is the man who desires more." This Stoic reflection is based on the idea that true wealth is not having a lot of things, but being able to desire less and be satisfied with what is necessary for life. In a world where people are always trying to get more, telling the difference between need and want is a radical act of authenticity that brings us back to our most basic selves. Whenever we feel grateful or truly satisfied, it's a sign that we can find meaning and joy in the simple things that are always important. If you want to be absolutely logical, you have to get past your emotions and find a place where logic and detachment rule. This is the area where every relationship and situation is carefully looked at with the cold light of reason. This is the area where feelings are recognized but can't change the truth of details. To start this journey, we need to be ready to ask deep questions about the basis on which our relationships and lives are built. It's a challenge to be honest with ourselves and think about whether the links we keep are helping us grow or holding us back with old habits, unfounded fears, and deep-seated worries. A strictly reasonable approach gives us the power to see through the complicated parts of our lives with more clarity than ever before. By carefully weighing the pros and cons of something, we are forced to face the reasons we often give for why certain people and situations keep coming back into our lives. These reasons, which are usually based on old habits, the fear of being alone, or low self-esteem, are called into question by our fair and logical thinking. This process of close examination not only helps us understand our relationships and situations better, but it also helps us make better, healthier choices that are in line with our core values and the life goals we want to reach. Relying on logic and reason is similar to the strict ideas of Stoic philosophers who teach us how important it is to control our thoughts and actions. Marcus Aurelius said, You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This saying fits perfectly with the idea of taking a logical view, because it reminds us that even though we can't control fate's whims, we have complete control over how we choose to understand and react to them. When we accept change, we can deeply understand that mortality is what life is all about. This basic idea shows that change is not only something that can't be avoided, but it's also what life is made of. Once we accept this universal truth, we start a journey of change and renewal. It's like dancing with the endless flow of the world, which takes us on new roads of growth and discovery. It teaches us to appreciate the present moment more when we know that every moment, connection, and experience is temporary. Valuing the present and being grateful for the people and things we can reach at that very moment is a deep recognition of how beautiful and fragile life is. Knowing that goodbye is just as normal as hello frees us and makes it easier to let go of forms that seemed impossible to get rid of before. When we're open to change, we become excited travelers on the trip of life, with a natural curiosity that drives us to discover new things. We can find new opportunities, challenges, and thrills when we see change not as an enemy, but as a friend. To be personally renewed, we are being asked to let go of things that are no longer serving our purpose. This makes room in our inner yard for new experience seeds to be planted and grown. Acceptance from this point of view is not defeat. It is choosing to go with the flow of life, knowing that every ending leads to a new beginning. Seasons change, bringing new kinds of beauty and difficulties. In the same way, we are asked to renew ourselves by accepting change as the way to grow and find ourselves. Philosopher Heraclitus said, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and he's not the same man." This captures the essence of accepting change and serves as a reminder that change is the only thing that stays the same. Accepting this fact not only helps us separate from things that no longer matter to us, but it also gets us ready to welcome the next parts of our lives with open arms, a willing heart, and a mind full of questions. So, accepting change becomes not only something to think about, but also a powerful way to live your life. It is a call to accept change with love and bravery, and to let the flow of life lead us on our never-ending path of discovery and renewal. Let's Focus on Important Needs takes us on a trip of self-reflection and choice, where we are asked to sort through the many wants and ties that fill our lives. This call helps us see what the real building blocks of a happy and worthwhile life are. Don't rest in the never-ending search for fleeting joys. Instead, focus on meeting and growing our most basic needs, such as health, safety, love, and self-esteem. As we go through this process of adjustment, we need to carefully consider where our energy and attention are going. Inviting us to question the substance of what often takes up all of our time and energy, it forces us to rethink our goals by shifting our attention to what is truly important. We start the process of freedom by letting go of secondary ties that are tempting but don't really help our growth and well-being. This change isn't just a way to practice giving up things, it's also a way to feel the world in a fuller and more real way. By getting rid of small worries that were taking up space in our minds and hearts, we make room for new experiences and relationships that are meaningful to us and align with our core values. This road to essentiality shows itself to be both a way to live a more organized life and the core of real freedom. It shows us that real and permanent happiness doesn't come from getting more things or having short-lived events, but from meeting our inner wants. The fact that you feel so fulfilled shows how focusing on your basic needs can change your life and give you more purpose, peace, and happiness. The desire for new experiences is a lively call to adventure, to leave the comforts of the known and dive into the wild seas of the new and unknown. As much as this may be comfortable, it is also a call to let go of the safety of habits and patterns that, while they may be familiar, can hold us back from growing and reaching our full potential. This theme tells us to be open to uncertainty and new things, knowing that every new experience holds the potential for us to learn more about ourselves and grow as people. This is the understanding that when we leave our comfort zone, we open ourselves up to a huge number of new opportunities, lessons, and changes. When we let ourselves try new things, meet new people, and become interested in new things, we start to build a rich fabric of experiences that broaden our view of the world. Every new place we go and person we meet is like a mirror that shows us parts of ourselves we didn't know before and gives us new ways to look at our lives and the choices we've made in the past. This journey of finding not only helps us let go of old habits and relationships that don't serve us anymore, but it also adds a depth and complexity to our lives that can't be found anywhere else. It changes us into stronger, more flexible people who can gracefully and quickly navigate the currents of change. Seeking out new experiences isn't just a way to find something new, it's a deep commitment to our ongoing growth. It's an understanding that when we let the world's vastness and variety into our lives, we not only gain new experiences, but we also get the tools we need to grow, adapt, and do well in a world that is always changing. There is a lot of noise and distraction in the world, but this trip offers a moment of reflection, a calm time when quiet is not empty, but full of meaning. Truths and wisdom are whispered in the deepest parts of our being, where silence talks louder than words. While some people think of silence as just the lack of noise, it can actually be a great place for self-awareness to grow. This peaceful setting is where the seeds of self-understanding are planted and cared for, with thought and self-analysis as water. Every day when we think about ourselves, we are gently asked to wrap a veil of awareness around our lives. Every thought and feeling is like a skilled weaver in the mind. It is carefully picked out and woven together to create a fabric that shows who we are, our inner wants and fears. This robe, which is made from the bright colors of our own lives, not only keeps us warm when we're feeling scared, but it also becomes a sign of our unique journey of growth and discovery. With each new day, this exercise gives us a chance to dive deeper into the calm waters of being and explore the depths and currents of our true selves. It's a chance to shut down the words outside of us that often define or limit us, so the inner voice, which is often quiet, can finally be heard. As we take a deep breath and think about what we're feeling, we show new parts of ourselves, including our skills and weaknesses. There are no easy or safe answers when we think about ourselves. Instead, it's a pledge to the truth of who we are. Taking one step at a time, every day, toward the unknown is a brave thing to do. This commitment has an infinite reward. As we become more self-aware, we give ourselves the power to live with more truthfulness, purpose, and happiness. Seeing your unhealthy attachments. On the way to self-awareness and mental health, there are many complicated routes. One important step is seeing your unhealthy attachments. This part, which is full of meaning and self-reflection, shows how important it is to carefully consider ties that, even though they may seem harmless at first, hurt our inner selves and make us less peaceful. When we do deep and thoughtful analysis, we are asked to look into the feelings, instincts, and exchanges we have every day. The purpose of this exposure is twofold. First, it aims to find the secret sources of negativity or pain, those shadows that sneak into our relationships and feelings. It's important to recognize these unhealthy relationships so that we can both accept their existence and think about how freeing it would be to cut these ties or get rid of them completely. The process of self-examination doesn't seem like an easy job that won't give you any problems. Deep-seated beliefs, repeating patterns of behavior, and standards that may have served a useful purpose in the past, but are now seen as outdated and limiting, need to be carefully examined. When someone is brave and honest like this, they make room for healing and change. In this way, the description of healthy limits becomes a guide for the process of personal freedom. Being honest and respectful with each other when we talk about our wants is a powerful tool on this trip. In some situations, carefully staying away from harmful or negative effects may be not only necessary, but also essential for maintaining our inner balance and growing a more peaceful and connected self. In this way, recognizing dangerous ties goes beyond just analysis. It takes the form of a call to think about who we are, the decisions we make, and the people we let affect our path. On this trip, we are asked to relearn who we are, change our goals, and get back in touch with what we really value. This will help us live a more true, satisfying life without being tied down by unhealthy emotions. Setting limits for wants. In a world where plenty and excess rule the tempo of our lives, setting limits for wants shines like a light of wisdom, showing us the way to a more peaceful life with meaning. This topic makes us think deeply about what we want and how to tell the difference between real needs, those that are necessary for our happiness and well-being, and temporary wants, those that come from emotions or the outside world's convincing power. We are told to practice self-control and reflection by setting clear and hard limits around our goals. This way, we can learn to value not only what we already have, but also the beauty and sufficiency in what is simple and doable. So, gratitude is a strong drug that can be used to fight insatiability. It helps us focus on enjoying the present instead of getting lost in the never-ending search for more. By its very nature, this process of re-evaluating and holding on to wants is not one of rejection or lack. Instead, it is an exercise in becoming more self-aware and real. By picking what we let into our lives, we can get rid of the things that aren't important and focus on real goals that will not only make our lives better, but also help us grow as people. When our wants are in line with our real needs and values, it leads to personal fulfillment and long-lasting happiness. Therefore, putting boundaries on our wants can help us get out of the trap of anger and long-term unhappiness, leading us slowly to a state of happiness and peace of mind. We learn on this journey that true happiness doesn't come from accumulating things without limits or giving in to whims without thinking about them first. Instead, it comes from being able to find joy in small successes, personal growth, and the peace of mind that comes from knowing that within the limits we have set, there are a lot of opportunities for a truly rich and rewarding life. Thinking about the people we've connected with helps us figure out what kind of impact we want to leave. Focusing on the most important things helps us understand what our core values are. This helps us separate ourselves from the obvious, which leads to a deeper life. Keeping the memory in mind helps us understand how our actions affect others. On a calm morning, you're sipping your favorite coffee and going through your messages when all of a sudden someone says or does something rude to you. These things can easily make your new day less bright. How we react to these toxic events is what counts. The whole course of events can change because of it. Like a spot on a favorite shirt that won't come out, a mean statement can follow you around all day. You can show how strong you are, though, by recognizing that damage and making a promise not to let it affect you. A lot of the time, negative times are more about the person speaking than they are about you. A wise man named Marcus Aurelius once said, "When someone hates or criticizes you, find out what they are like on the inside. Those critiques don't always show the real you, they often show the real them. Because we are aware of this, we can look past surface interactions and get a better sense of why other people do the things they do. Dealing with bad things can help you think deeply about yourself. Take a moment to think about the social masks and standards you may be wearing. Don't let other people's bad moods or morals shape who you are or how you feel. Starting a journey of self-discovery will help you not only deal with toxic people, but also learn more about yourself and grow as a person. You might learn a lot of useful things about yourself along the way. Because we are self-aware and know that some people can set off our sensitive spots, we often name them as toxic because they spread negativity like black smoke that makes it hard to see. What if I told you there was a way to get through this fog without getting lost? By first getting to know yourself. If you know what you can't stand, like staying away from cigarette smoke if you're allergic, you can deal with it. Being aware of how these people make you feel can help you keep your emotions in check. A fencing master taught me that to be truly skilled in fencing, you need to know when to dodge as well as when to attack. You stay away from toxic people when they attack you, not because you're weak, but because you know your limits and respect them so much that no one can get past them. You don't need to be angry or fight back. All you need is a clear idea of who you want to become. Self-understanding is like fixing your shoes. It's something you do every day. It takes some time to get used to, but after a while, it's second nature. Whenever you feel bad, take a step back and think about what you can learn or why it makes you feel that way. These questions aren't meant to make you look good to other people. They're meant to make you smarter. There are some hard parts on this road. There will be days when it seems easier to just respond to what other people do. But that's only a short-term win, and it doesn't feel good because it doesn't show the real you. Do what you want to do every time, not because it's easy, but because it's the right thing to do. This is about building a fortress in your mind, not out of pride, but from a strong and calm sense of who you are. It's not about ignoring bad things that happen, but about recognizing them and not letting them control what you do. This task makes you stronger, and it will keep making you stronger over time. When you forgive and remember, you look up at the sky. Relationships are like a bright night sky when it comes to forgiveness and remembering. Think of your family and close friends as bright stars that guide you with their understanding and support. Toxic people, on the other hand, are like black holes that drain your energy. It's hard to figure out how to get through the world of relationships without getting sucked into the darkness of these black holes. Think of yourself as a spaceship that runs on guts and wisdom instead of gas. This bravery shows up as acceptance, a force that enables you to rise above toxic influences and get over other people's mistakes. When you forgive someone, you free yourself from their anger and painful memories. This lets you move on without being held back. Also, your memory is like a ship's compass. It stores lessons learned in life and whispers in your ear to keep you away from known black holes. Bad events from the past are not limits. They are like arrows pointing you in the right direction, making your journey better and smarter. Forgiveness and memory work together like a guide to help us find our way through the maze of relationships. As you think about your trip, figure out who brings you light and who you need to stay away from. Forgiveness can give you the energy to move forward, and your memory can help you find your way around relationships so you don't make the same mistakes again. The power of forgiveness and the wisdom of remembering will help you become a rocket that can fly above the chaos of the world. In this crazy world, we not only look for peace, but we also try to learn and care more about the people around us. When you're around toxic people, emotional stability is very helpful. It can feel like you're going through a thick, dark forest, and every step makes you feel unsafe. I want to tell you, though, that there is a way to clear this fog, and it starts with you. Stoicism can help you become emotionally stable. Stoicism doesn't require you to look uncaring or cold. Rather, it requires you to understand that you really only have control over how you respond to the world around you. You don't just get through the day when you're strong like a rock in a storm. You choose to face problems in a calm and sensible way. When you are dealing with toxic people, don't get into fights that aren't necessary. Instead, find a quiet place for yourself, like the center of a storm. You can breathe, think, and finally act from a calm place when there is silence. This means changing your attention from what's going on around you to how you let it affect your peace of mind. Practicing mindfulness can help a lot with this. We can look at the chaos without getting caught up in it. Being mindful doesn't mean ignoring toxic people or things. It means recognizing them, but not letting them get in the way of our inner peace. This bad time will end, just like clouds do as they move across the sky. When you feel like bad things are all around you, remember that you are the one who can create inner peace. Become a strong master of your own life by building it up so that you are no longer a subject of your conditions. You can think of setting limits in life as drawing dots on a daily surface. While some strokes make you look and feel better about yourself, others, like toxic interactions, can ruin your day by changing your mood and how you see things. Think about the Stoics from long ago. They are very good at controlling their minds, not by staying away from problems, but by making strong walls around themselves. They are aware that not all complaints or bad vibes are important to pay attention to. There is a lesson here about how to deal with toxic people. It's not about building a wall that can't be broken down. It's about knowing when to let people in. Being selectively open doesn't make you weaker. Instead, it makes you in charge of your own peace. As limited as water is in the desert, think of your energy as a valuable resource. You have to choose each time whether to water your yard with people who can make it grow, or with people who will only dry it out in the hot sun of negativity. Smartly investing your time and energy is not a sign of pride or disrespect. It shows that you are a cool and determined person who knows what they're worth and how much time they have. In this way you can say, "This is where I draw the line, and my peace is not up for negotiation." Think of every day as a chance to make your creation. It's magical to put your energy where it really makes things grow. It takes a lot of self-respect and wisdom to set limits for yourself. Instead of getting rid of people, start today by making it clear where your yard stops and the forest begins. Then, watch how your life changes. Follow this rule to keep yourself safe and make the area around you a better place to be. Energy knowledge can help you deal with toxic people. If you learn about energy intelligence, you can become a strong wall that keeps the peace and keeps out bad influences. Consider your energy as a shield that not only keeps your day beautiful, but also keeps out the storms that would ruin it. You can choose the type of fuel you put in your life, which means how you react to and deal with the bad energy around you. But how you reply is also important. You can either be patient and understanding in response, or you can choose not to play their game. Not only does this solution save you fuel, it also points you in the right way. Avoiding confrontation is only one aspect of energy intelligence. It's also about giving yourself the wisdom to make the best choices for yourself. It's not enough to just control yourself. You need to build a strong base around yourself so that no storm can shake it. Like a tree with deep roots in the ground, you don't stand tall just because the wind isn't blowing. You stand tall because you know how to bend and flex when things go wrong without breaking. Energy intelligence takes away the power of poison so that it has to go away or move. As you think about how you deal with your energy when things go wrong, remember times when you felt like negativity was too much for you to handle. Let their storm make your sky dark. Or did you shine even brighter to show them the way back to peace? The goal of this trip is not to make you immune to change, but to help you see that you have the power and wisdom to handle any task. Remember this power. You can not only keep the peace, but you can also show others the way. Really, what makes you strong is not how you stay out of the storm, but how you dance in it. Remember your goals and keep going in the direction you want to go. Keep your mind on the goal. This is a good thing to do when you're around bad people or events that might make you give up. At first, the way may seem clear. You may want to learn a new skill, get in better shape, or work on a personal project. Strong winds, on the other hand, will be impossible to avoid. They can push you off course like a paper ship in the wind. For example, Jack started a small online business even though his family and friends didn't believe he could do it. Jack decided to work on improving his skills and learning new things instead of getting into pointless fights or trying to prove himself. Jack gets better, and he also learns how to be confident in himself and keep his goal clear even when things go wrong. Jack's story taught us that it's important to stay focused on what we can control when we're around toxic people. This includes how we respond and how we handle our emotions. Putting up a mental wall helps keep bad thoughts out and keeps them from affecting our mood or judgment. Picture yourself in a jacket in the middle of a downpour. A jacket keeps you dry and steady, but it can't stop the rain. We should strive for this kind of resilience. The next time someone doubts or criticizes your plans or goals, remember that Jack turned his energy not into reacting to criticism, but into making his way stronger. Just smile and nod, and keep going. When you practice Stoicism, you focus on the action, enjoy the process, and reduce negative thoughts to a soft whisper in the bigger picture of your own journey. There is no one else on this road but you. To stay strong and move toward your goals, don't forget to ask for help when you need it. It's not only smart, but also a sign of wisdom to get help when you're around toxic people. You might have felt like you were stuck in mud, and no matter how hard you tried to stay calm, you just went deeper into anger or rage. This really tests your ability to be patient and calm. It helps to talk about these tough situations with people who can understand and support you. It also makes you stronger by showing you new ways to deal with them. Even if they don't fight for you, these people are there for you and remind you of your power and mental perseverance. Imagine that you are with an old, wise person who can give you advice based on his many years of life. This support can be very helpful in getting through toxic situations with kindness. Find your inner strength and learn to control how you respond to what other people do. From a bigger picture point of view, getting help gives us time to breathe, think, and carefully choose our answers, making sure they are in line with our ideals and inner peace. As you think back on your interactions with these tough people, ask yourself, how did you get through those rough waters? Did you try to get through it by yourself, counting on your own strength? Or did you look for someone to talk to who could help you and make things better? Remember that being a Stoic doesn't mean you can stand alone in quiet or pain. Being a Stoic means you know when and how to connect with and use the wisdom of others to make your journey through life easier and better. Stop talking badly to yourself. Keeping your inner negativity in check when you're around toxic people is a big part of staying mentally healthy and growing as a person. Remember the first time you met someone whose energy seemed to darken your life, like a cloud blocking the sun. Not only does it feel heavy, but it also shows that the way we talk to ourselves can either help us or hurt us. Imagine your mind as a garden where each thought you plant has the potential to develop into either a strong plant or a toxic weed. You start to kill other good traits when you plant seeds of doubt and fear. Sometimes you can't leave, and that's when being tough can help. Stoicism is about how we choose to react to events, not what happens to us. Pay attention to how you talk to yourself when you're dealing with bad situations that other people have caused. thinking, how can I be stronger through this experience? Instead of, why do I have to endure this? Is not just a play on words. It's a powerful way to regain control that we call emotional separation. Comments that are bad are like arrows. If your sense of self-worth is like a shield that can't be broken, then those arrows can't hurt you. That doesn't mean you never feel pain, but it does help you remember that things can hurt you if you let them. Take some time to think about what bad thoughts you've let into your life and learn not to let anyone or anything take away your happiness. Stoicism is about knowing which fights are worth fighting and when to use the power of silence, not about life without feelings. Taking a solution-focused approach when dealing with toxic people is like going through thick fog. It feels like every step is risky and the air is heavy. To get through it, you need to keep your cool and use the principles of Stoicism to turn bad situations into chances to improve yourself and your emotional intelligence. With this method, you can play chess. You need to plan many steps ahead of time and guess how you will react without letting your feelings take over. This requires you to listen more than you talk and keep your cool, which is a skill that many people admire, but not everyone can easily use. This kind of smart thinking helps you keep the peace and avoid getting caught up in the chaos. Being able to change is your best friend in these scenarios. You are like a tree. Your roots are strong but also bendy enough to move with the wind without breaking. This strength not only makes you a better person, it also gives you the tools you need to handle any task. Remember that while toxic people may be out of your control, you have complete control over how you react when they are being mean or manipulative to you. By thinking about how to solve problems, you can not only avoid the problems that come with being negative, but you can also build a strong life full of peace and honor. Remember that in the big picture of life, it's not the problems we face that make us who we are, but how we deal with them. A big part of dealing with toxic people is staying out of fights that aren't necessary. Even though this advice is old, it has never been more important than it is now, when every contact can be dangerous and cause trouble. When you pick your fights, you need to be able to sense and decide which road is worth going down and which is just a dead end that wastes time and energy without giving you anything in return. Being still is sometimes the most important thing you can do. The sound of silence can be stronger than any words you use. Whenever toxic people feel bad, they often look for a response, any sign that they have had an effect on you. By staying out of the fight, you not only keep them from getting ideas, but you also save your energy for bigger battles and goals. Consider shifting from conflict to conversation instead of fighting or trying to reason with someone to change their toxic behavior, which can make things worse. This strategy doesn't always work, but the goal isn't to win every fight. It's to keep your cool and honor. As part of the process, you might want to learn to be patient and give yourself time to think before you answer. Deciding not to get into a fight that isn't necessary isn't idle self-defense. It's an active choice to protect your peace of mind and quality of life. Whenever you feel like getting into a fight, take a moment to calm down, take a deep breath, and ask yourself if this problem is really important to you. When you're with someone who might not be telling you the truth, being able to spot fake closeness is a useful skill. A small argument can quickly grow into a big fight, just like a spark can quickly grow into a fire that kills everything in its way. However, not all sparks turn into fire. This is especially true if you know how to spot fake closeness and act accordingly. People may fake closeness with you to look like they are on your side while they are quietly setting up a way to hurt you. Your body language tells the truth. A smile that doesn't light up the eyes or a hand motion like crossing the arms can be very clear signs that someone isn't telling the truth. Often, this is a mild sign that you have a bigger problem than what you think it is. Once you know this, Pay attention to what isn't being said. A friendly, sweet tone of voice or a fake laugh can say more than words. These small differences in how people talk to each other can connect to form unseen threads that lead you to believe that things are not what they seem to be. The way someone talks can really show what kind of person they are and what they want to do. Look for repeating patterns of behavior. Behavior that stays the same over time shows who someone really is, while behavior that changes quickly based on their environment shows a fake personality. You can avoid toxic relationships and create the conditions for genuine relationships to flourish by recognizing these trends. You should follow your gut when you think something is wrong. Watch out for the signs and know that not every contact leads to real friendship. The best way to deal with fake relationships is sometimes to keep going on your road and protect your inner peace. Stoicism can help you deal with toxic issues and make your life more satisfying if you really understand and put it into practice. As we go through life, the desire to become our best selves is often overshadowed by habits and actions that make us look less beautiful. Why do we sometimes do things that make other people want to stay away? Could it be that when we try to connect with others, we unintentionally fall into habits that make us less appealing? We're now going to take a serious look at 5 bad habits that can make you look a lot less beautiful. This study isn't just about finding flaws. It's also about getting to the bottom of them and using the wisdom of Stoicism to change them. How often do we look to others for approval, happiness, or success when the source of these traits lies within? Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Are we guilty of letting these ugly traits define who we are, or are we ready to push ourselves to get past them? Stoicism, which has a long history of focused on self-control, virtue, and understanding, can help us understand why these behaviors are seen as undesirable and how we can change our behavior to match the traits that people really like. Stoic ideas can help us learn how to behave in ways that make our relationships better and help us live a happier, more peaceful, and more successful life. Have a trip of discovery and let the timeless wisdom of Stoicism show us the way to becoming our best selves. Are you ready to think about these habits and see how the lessons of the Stoics can help you change them? Come with us as we explore the deep yet useful ways that Stoicism can help us get past the things that make us less beautiful and reach our full potential. Post "ready" if you're ready to start the trip right now. The first thing is bragging. People often think that bragging is a sign of needing approval from others instead of a sign of real self-esteem. This kind of behavior, which includes giving yourself too much praise, not only makes people less attractive, but it also hurts real relationships. The Stoic philosophy, which stresses humility and self-control, gives us deep understanding of why talking is so bad. Epicurus was a Greek Stoic philosopher who taught that the best way to find approval was to look inside yourself instead of looking for it outside yourself. He once said, "If you want to be loved, love." This simple but deep advice shows how Stoics believe that directing one's own actions and attitudes is more powerful than trying to control how others see you by talking. Why do people like to brag? Is that a real show of pride, or is it just a cover for feeling insecure? Think back to times when someone was bragging. Did it make you want to be with that person more or push you away? True confidence doesn't need to shout about its wins or try to get support by making loud statements. Stoicism teaches us this. Epicurus also said, "What matters is not what happens to you, but how you react to it." This is especially helpful for understanding why bragging is not attractive. It says that you deal with your self-esteem by reacting to other people's feelings, which are often shallow and hard to predict. Stoicism tells us to take charge of our sense of self-worth by developing traits like self-control, bravery, and humility that don't change based on what other people think. So, how can we use this Stoic wisdom to make ourselves more beautiful, not just on the outside, but also in a deep and important way? Start by recognizing your own accomplishments without drawing attention away from others. Share your wins in a way that includes and values what other people have done. When did someone share their success in a humble way? How did you feel about them after that? The best payback is to be unlike the person who caused the hurt, said Marcus Aurelius, another Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor. Pick humility over pride and giving over bragging. This road not only boosts your own self-esteem, but it also makes other people respect and admire you. Remember that talking only drowns out the sound of real virtue as you work to make your life better, more peaceful, and more successful. Let what you do talk louder than what you say. Adopt the Stoic habit of thinking about your day's actions every night and asking yourself, did my actions today show the virtues I want to embody? How can I improve? If you stop talking and instead choose quiet humility, you can have a life full of real relationships and self-respect. This change not only makes you more attractive to other people, but it also sets you up for a happy, peaceful life. Remember that if you want to live a happy life, your deeds and morals should guide you, not your words. The second thing is reaction. Being reactive or acting on impulse instead of thinking things through is a behavior feature that can make a person less beautiful and less good at getting things done in life. There is a lot of focus in Stoic thought on self-control and logic, which can help you understand why this trait is bad and how to become more calm. Think about what the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said. He was born a slave and went through many hard times in his life. His unwavering calm and wisdom made him famous, even with all of these problems. Epictetus reportedly said, "It's not what happens to you that matters, but how you react to it." His life and words support the Stoic idea that we don't have control over outside events, but over how we react to them. Why do people think that being emotional is not attractive? When things get tough, have you ever seen someone lose their cool? What did you do right away when they lost it? People usually judge people negatively when they can't control their reactions. This is because people respect people who can stay calm under pressure. Think about Marcus Aurelius, who was a Roman emperor and another Stoic teacher. He was under a lot of stress both on the battlefield and in his job as emperor. Even with all of these problems, he is known for his thoughtful thoughts on how to stay cool and keep things in perspective when things go wrong in life. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Marcus Aurelius's actions show that real leadership and respect come from being able to stay calm and thoughtful no matter what is going on around you. How can you use these Stoic ideas to make your own life less reactive? Start by paying attention to how you respond right away in different scenarios. What makes you act without thinking? Are you able to find patterns? Stoicism teaches us to think things through and wait before moving, which is good for our relationships and our self-esteem. In addition to philosophical advice, Epictetus gives useful advice. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. If you live by a philosophy of cool and reasoned answers, you will naturally become more attractive and powerful. This way of thinking doesn't mean hiding your feelings. It means controlling them in a way that fits your ideals and the needs of the situation. Now think about how changing your reactiveness to reflectiveness might change your life. What if, instead of getting angry when someone provoked you, you reacted with understanding? What if you thought about the long-term effects of a wish before acting on it right away? As you learn to be less impulsive and more thoughtful, you become more in line with Stoic ideals. This will help you live a peaceful and productive life. This change not only makes you more beautiful to other people, but it also makes you happier and more successful in your own life. Allow this message to sink in. Try to be the kind of person who can handle bad things with a steady mind. Choose to think over, respond, which is a calm practice. This change not only improves how other people see you, but it also makes your life better and happier. Remember that the goal is not to feel less, but to act less based on your thoughts. By doing this, you show the wisdom that has made Stoicism a source of strength for hundreds of years. What methods do you use to deal with your own reactive behavior, and which ones have worked for you? Feel free to write about your ideas and experiences in the space below. Let us know how you use Stoic ideas to deal with everyday problems. Third, not having any goals. The word ambition makes you think of trying, reaching, and often going above and beyond. But what does desire really mean from the point of view of a Stoic? This old theory tells us to break down our drives and show their core by peeling back the layers of our wants. Is our desire just a shadow that wants to be seen by other people, or does it shine as a light that leads us to personal growth and living an honest life? Stoicism, which says that virtue and self-control are more important than anything else, gives us a new way to think about desire. Stoics like Seneca, who lived in Rome and negotiated the dangerous political seas of that time, tell us that real desire isn't about how high we go, but how deep we go as people. Seneca's life and works can help people figure out where their own goals come from. What good is an abundance of books and libraries if the owner is unable to digest even a single precept and make it his own? Is one of his piercing questions that makes us think about whether our goals lead to real wisdom or just become useless possessions that sit around collecting dust. When was the last time that a real accomplishment made you feel complete? Was it the praise from other people that made you feel good, or the knowledge that you had grown in a useful way? Stoic philosophy tells us to choose the second option, to set goals that are based on the steady growth of the soul rather than the approval of the crowd. Epicurus, another great Stoic thinker, said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This simple instruction sums up Stoic ambition. It's about picturing the good person you want to become and acting in ways that match that image. The Stoic way of life is self-reflective and inward-looking, with an emphasis on strength and resilience rather than victory and gain. Think about the modern world, where wanting more often means always going after more money, power, or status. Stoicism, on the other hand, tells us to think about these things. Are they making our lives better, or just more difficult? Are we chasing ghosts instead of building something real? Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher-emperor, said, "The only wealth you will keep forever is the wealth you have given away." This timeless piece of wisdom challenges us to see desire not only as a way to achieve personal goals, but also as a way to help others. This new meaning not only raises the bar for our purpose, but it also makes us more appealing as people who care about the general good. How can you use your goals to not only move forward, but also help other people? How can your goals help weave a bigger fabric of personal and social happiness? Taking a Stoic view of desire doesn't make people less driven. Instead, it makes them more driven. We change our goals from things that are only good for us to ways that we can show ourselves and help others. This change in philosophy can help us live a happier, more peaceful, and eventually more successful life, where our goals are in line with our inner values and hopes. Let's decide to see our goals not as ends in themselves, but as ways to reach a bigger goal, a life of virtue, wisdom, and true happiness. This is what Stoic desire really means, not a trophy room full of accomplishments, but a soul strengthened by purpose and made richer by helping others. 4. Being in need. How often do we look for other people's approval to feel like we're important or valued? This behavior, called neediness, can really hurt our relationships and make us less appealing to others. Stoic philosophy encourages self-sufficiency and mental resilience. It asks us to find approval within ourselves, which can give us a sense of freedom that is both freeing and appealing. Take some time to think about Epictetus's life. He was born into slavery, but became one of the most important Stoic thinkers. His lessons stress how important it is to be emotionally and mentally stable. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by ignoring things that lie beyond our control, he said. This point of view makes us think about how we tend to feel needy. Do we want other people to like us in order to feel good about ourselves? Are we letting other people decide what makes us happy? Why do people think neediness is ugly? Think about how a relationship changes when one person depends too much on the other. Those changes usually cause imbalance and unhappiness. Most of the time, people would rather connect with someone who seems confident and independent than someone who seems mentally dependent. Seneca's words of Stoic wisdom serve as a sobering reminder. If you really want to escape the things that bother you, what you need is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person. Why not build up our own inner strengths? How can you use Stoic ideas to get over your neediness? First, figure out where your self-esteem comes from. Is it mostly external, based on how other people see you, or internal, based on things you recognize and choose for yourself? Even though Seneca's life was full of political changes, he showed us how to keep our dignity and inner peace even when things are uncertain around us. He taught us that real security comes from within. Marcus Aurelius also gives advice on being independent. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This powerful idea suggests that we can keep our dignity and attractiveness no matter what by controlling our feelings and reactions. Think about how your relationships might change if you adopted a more patient attitude. What if you worked on building your virtues instead of trying to get other people to like you? How would your relationships change if you didn't need as much help and could do things on your own? Taking on the Stoic virtue of self-sufficiency can change your life for the better, making it happy, more peaceful, and more successful. This way of thinking doesn't mean cutting yourself off from other people. Instead, it means building your emotional core so that when you connect with others, it's because you want to grow together, not because you need emotional support. This is a call to action. Build your inner fortress and become your own source of support instead of looking for it from other people. Not only will this make you more beautiful, but it will also help relationships stay healthy and balanced. Adopt the Stoic habit of being self-sufficient and see how it changes your life. Not only will your relationships get better as you become less needy and more sure of yourself, but you'll also be happier with your life in general. What steps can you take right now to begin the process of becoming more independent and mentally strong? Leave your plans and thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear about your work and what you've learned. 5. Using humor that makes fun of yourself. When used in moderation, self-deprecating humor can help people feel more humble and like they can relate to others. But if you use it too much, it can make you look less beautiful and may mean you don't like yourself. What does the Stoic philosophy say about this common way of getting along with others? How do we find the balance? Think about what the Stoic philosopher and ruler Marcus Aurelius taught you. He was famous for his deep thoughts on life and government. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, he said, implying that a negative view of oneself, even in jest, could ruin one's experience of life. He frequently wrote about the virtues of knowing oneself honestly and presenting that self to the world without pretense. Why might making fun of yourself be funny, and why is it risky? Have you ever made fun of yourself to make a situation lighter or to make yourself seem more approachable? Putting ourselves down too much can make social situations easier for a short time, but it can become a habit that makes us feel worse about ourselves instead of making others like us. A view on comedy as a mirror of our inner state is provided by Stoicism, which emphasizes resilience and personal ethics. We are disturbed not by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens, said Epictetus, another famous Stoic. He said that we shouldn't base our identity on how other people see us, but on how we feel about ourselves. This idea is very important to keep in mind when thinking about how to use self-deprecating humor. For fun, are we encouraging bad thoughts about ourselves? How can we use Stoic ideas to make good use of humor without lowering our self-worth? First, it's important to keep an eye on what our humor is really about. Are we using it as a shield to hide our real fears, or as a sword to break down social barriers? Being self-aware and having the guts to be yourself are important for developing a humor style that pulls people up instead of bringing them down. Think about how changing how you deal with humor might affect your relationships and how you see yourself. What if you focused on funny things that make people unique instead of things that make people look bad? How might this change improve how you see yourself and how other people see you? If you want to live a happier and more successful life, think about what the Stoics said about being calm and accepting yourself. Using humor in a healthy way can help you connect with others and feel better about your own self-worth. Stoics believe that living in line with one's true nature will bring more peace and happiness into one's life. This is a call to action. Think about how you use humor in your everyday life. Try to develop a sense of humor that shows a positive view of yourself and helps people connect with you in a real way. Don't forget that the goal isn't to hide your fun side, but to make sure it grows in healthy and positive ways. Accept the wisdom of Stoicism by not using humor to put yourself down, but as a way to enjoy the complicated things in life. As you change the funny things you say, pay attention to how this impacts your relationships and general health. What can you do today to make your sense of humor more cheerful and hopeful? Leave your thoughts and experiences in the comments. We'd love to hear how you're using Stoic ideas to find fun and joy in regular life. We have learned a lot about the 5 bad habits that make us less attractive: bragging, lack of drive, sensitivity, neediness, and too much self-deprecating humor. We have also learned about how these habits affect our lives and relationships. According to Stoic philosophy, we can avoid these mistakes and instead act in a way that earns respect, kindness, and real relationships. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best way to get back at someone who hurt you is to be unlike them." In this case, this means getting past habits that are bad for you and make you look less attractive. It pushes us to show traits that make our relationships and lives better. We've talked about how each behavior mistake is a chance to grow traits like self-sufficiency, humility, purposefulness, and a healthy sense of self-worth. Let's really think about these lessons and use Stoic wisdom to change not only how other people see us, but also how we see ourselves. Remember that the path starts with you as you try to live a life full of peace, happiness, and kindness. If we want our relationships to change, we have to first change ourselves. When should you be silent and keep your mouth shut? What good is silence when the world is full of noise from different points of view? Life is full of ups and downs, and sometimes it feels like the whole world is weighing down on us. These are the times when we feel hopeless and confused. Even so, it's important to remember that we're not going through this trip by ourselves. In order to help you on your journey, we have carefully picked a set of inspiring lessons for you to read here. These words are meant to soothe the soul and tell you that hard times are short-lived and that your power is inside you, ready to be woken up. These lessons will give you support, inspiration, and hope, whether you are going through a personal problem, having a hard time, or just need a little extra cheer in your daily life. Allow these powerful words to enter your heart and mind, nourishing your spirit and lifting your spirits. Because together we can turn darkness into light and find the strength to move forward, thanks to when it is better to stay silent than to speak up. First, we'll talk about how to control your anger. We've all had our hearts sink with anger at some point. It could be when we were having a bad time with a coworker and trying to work together on a project, when we found out that a relationship was ending, or when our child ignored what we said. Anger often comes out of nowhere like a storm, breaking reason and leaving a path of sorrow and pain in its wake. Stoicism can help us deal with these strong emotions in a way that is kind and reasonable. When our anger starts to rise, let us remember the story of Seneca, a Stoic philosopher whose friend cheated him. Instead of getting mad, Seneca thought about it and understood that people who make us angry are often worse off than the people who make us angry. He decided to show care and understanding because he knew that everyone is going through their own problems. The first thing you need to do to deal with anger is to clearly see and accept it. This doesn't mean you should hide or reject your feelings. It just means you should understand and accept them as a normal part of being human. Next, think about what is really making you mad. How helpless do you feel in a situation you can't change? Or are you frustrated that your standards weren't met? Stanislavskian thinking can help you see things more clearly once you know what is really making you mad. Remember that getting angry doesn't usually help. It makes things worse. Ask yourself, what can you do with your anger that will make things better? As a useful lesson, think about how you can use your anger to push yourself to grow and improve your interactions with other people. Say you are mad at a coworker because of a mistake. Instead of getting even, you could talk about it and clear the air. This would make your working relationship better. Stoicism not only helps us deal with our anger, but it also shows us how to use it to get better and learn more about other people. To keep our relationships and mental health in good shape, we need to learn how to control our anger. To deal with anger, you can understand what's going on, know the mental and physical signs that you are getting angry. Take a break if you start to feel angry. Relax by doing things like progressive muscle relaxation or deep breathing. Talk about your feelings instead of holding them in. Figure out what makes you angry and try to avoid it. Question your negative thoughts and show empathy. You might want to get professional help if your anger is getting in the way of your relationships, work, or quality of life. Adopt healthy habits like going to the gym regularly, eating well, getting enough sleep, and not taking drugs or alcohol. Remember that you can learn to control your anger with practice and time. Take your time and enjoy the little things you do along the way. To do too, stand up against wrongdoing. Being wronged is not only a test of how fair we are, but also a lesson in how strong our spirits can be. The Stoics teach us not only how to control our reactions, but also how to be at peace with ourselves. A Stoic doesn't think that silence means giving up or agreeing to something without a good reason when things get tough. Instead, they see it as a strong choice that helps us face and get past unfairness without losing our inner peace. In this case, you are an experienced worker who has put in a lot of hard work for your company. But one day you find out that someone else, less experienced than you, was promoted instead of you. It makes you feel bad about yourself that you're being treated badly. You could be angry or upset, but instead you choose to think about what happened and figure out what you really want in your job. Don't let your feelings get in the way of making good decisions. Stop being idle and having bad feelings build up. Instead, do something to get better and learn more. We can see from this example that when we stay silent and in control, we not only avoid hurting others or ourselves with careless words, but we also have the chance to find our inner power. Silence is not only a way to protect yourself from abuse, but it's also the best way to find an answer that works. Being quiet helps us get in touch with our core ideals and selves, which gives us the strength to act. The best way to deal with anger is silence, as Marcus Aurelius said. The power of silence helps us stay in control and optimistic about the bigger picture of life, rather than responding with anger or letting feelings get the best of us. This not only helps us deal with any issue calmly, but it also makes us stronger and more able to handle anything. No matter what life throws at us, silence can help us get through it. Not only do you have to accept them, you also have to use them as a chance to grow. These are the things that Stoic philosophy tells us to do to get better and take charge of our lives. If something isn't fair, it's okay to feel a lot of different feelings, like frustration, anger, loss, or even sadness. Being treated unfairly can be bad for your health and the situation, but how you handle it can make a big difference. If someone is treating you badly, here are some things you can do to handle it well. Accept your feelings. Allow yourself to feel what you are feeling. Don't try to hide your feelings. Be aware of them and accept them. Assess the scenario. Step back and look at the situation without prejudice. Try to figure out why you think it is wrong and think if there are factors or points of view you haven't considered. Seek another perspective. Talk about what is happening with someone you trust. Getting an outside view can help you understand things better and perhaps see them from a different angle. Choose your response. Choose what you will do about the wrong thing. It is easy to act without thinking, but taking a moment to think about your options can help you make better decisions. Communicate assertively if it is acceptable, calm, and be direct in expressing your feelings and concerns to the right people. Explain why you think the situation is wrong and what you would like to happen to make things right. Focus on what you can control. Know that you may not be able to change some parts of the situation. Don't think too much about those things. Instead, think about things you can change, such as your own actions and attitudes. Seek justice through the proper channels. If the injustice is large and has real effects, you may want to seek justice through the proper channels, such as filing an official complaint or talking to a lawyer. Take care of yourself. Dealing with injustice can be hard on your emotions, so be sure to put your own needs first. Engage in activities that help you relax and recover, such as yoga, meditation, spending time with loved ones or hobbies. Let go of resentment. Holding on to anger towards someone or something you think is wrong can damage your health in the long run. You should forgive others, but not just because they deserve it. Do it for your own peace of mind, to learn and grow. Use the time you spend dealing with situations as an opportunity to do so. Think about what you learned and how you can better handle similar problems in the future. Remember that you can choose how to respond to things that happen to you, not just what they are. If you are strong, self-aware, and take positive action, you can get through tough situations more honestly and easily. 3. The insult storm. Allow me to tell you a story about John, a well-known Stoic thinker and leader, before I start Lesson 3. John was famous for always sticking to what he thought was right. His co-workers often made fun of him for it, but he never changed his mind. His life is a great example of the Stoic idea that our real power comes from our beliefs, not from what other people think of us. In fact, our lives do have hard times from time to time. Stoics are not superstitious, and they don't act like they don't care about insults. Instead, they know that other people's opinions are just their own and can't change how valuable they are. So, they try to control the things they can change instead of the things they can't. Stoics also work on their ability to control their feelings every day. Even when they are insulted, they don't let anger or hurt get the best of them. Instead, they keep their cool and face each task with patience and strength. Not only is it important to control your feelings, but it's also important to look at things rationally. As Stoics say, taunts are just part of life and are not worth losing control over. They don't respond with anger or pain. Instead, they keep their minds clear so they can make good choices and deal with problems well. Finally, Stoicism teaches us how to care about others and be tolerant. They don't have to match words with deeds. Instead, they can choose silence or a kind word to keep arguments from getting worse and encourage better communication. If you want to get through the insult storm, you can't just avoid them. You have to learn and use wisdom, patience, persistence, and drive. Taking the Stoic view is the only way to live a happy and peaceful life, even when things are bad. Even when things are hard, we can still live a happy and peaceful life. Fourth, don't give in to rumors. People who like to gossip will always be blamed or have stories spread about them that aren't true. It doesn't matter that we have these problems. What counts is how we deal with and get past them. Stoicism can teach us to be patient and in control, which can help us deal with problems in a strong and calm way. For instance, when fake reports start to spread, we shouldn't get mad or scared. Instead, we should use our minds to look at the situation rationally and act with understanding. Sometimes being quiet is a strong and smart thing to do. We should choose silence and waiting instead of coming out to protect our honor, letting time and the truth provide the answer. Please understand that remaining silent does not mean you are weak, but rather that you are strong and in control. There are times when staying quiet is the best way to stay safe and calm. Remember that being patient and sure of yourself enough to stay calm and deal with problems with peace and wisdom is what makes you truly strong. But don't get me wrong, you can either stay silent and let time run its course, or you can choose a better route. Let's say you work for a big company where news and stories spread fast. One day, you hear that you were promoted all of a sudden because you made your boss feel good. You are shocked and confused by this story, but it also gives you a chance to be tough in real life. You choose to be cool and sure of yourself instead of getting mad or worried. You should first face this information straight on, not try to hide it. You talk to your boss about things in an honest way to clear things up. If people say bad things about you, it can be hard, but it can also help you become more patient and sure of yourself. The Stoics said that you can get through anything and become stronger in the end. Have stories been spread about you that were not true? Please share your story in the video's comments if you did. There are some things you can do to deal with talk well, even though it can be hard. 1. Don't talk about other people. Chatter often needs our attention. It might go away on its own if you don't do anything. 2. Deal with it head-on. If it's okay, talk to the person who is spreading lies. Tell them how their rumors make you feel and ask them to stop. 3. Make rules. Let people know you don't like to talk about or listen to gossip. 4. Change the subject. Move the talk along to something better or more useful. 5. Be a good model by not taking part in talk. People may not include you in stories or bad talk about other people as much if they see that you don't do those things. 6. Get help. If gossip is making you feel bad or hurting your health, talk to family, friends, or a counselor. They can help you and give you a new point of view. 7. Keep track of things that you think are hurtful or cross a line and report them if the talk turns into abuse or harassment. It's also possible to tell the right people about it, like human resources at work or management at school. Remember that you have the power to decide how to respond to what other people say. stand up for what you believe in, and work to make the people and places you're in better, even if you can't change what they say. 5. When someone criticizes you without a good reason. Your first thought might be to protect yourself if someone criticizes you wrongly, but Epictetus offered a different way to deal with it. If someone says something bad about you, don't try to protect yourself by saying things like, "He didn't know my other flaws," or "He wouldn't have brought them up himself." This is a powerful lesson in knowing yourself and being in charge of your life. Criticism is something that everyone has to deal with, even when it's not fair. The first thing a Stoic does when they have to deal with unfair criticism is to calm down. They don't get angry and act right away. Instead, they listen and think about what was said. It not only shows that you can control yourself, but it's also one of the main things that sets a decent person apart from a bad one. Stoics don't try to change the way things are, even if they're not fair. They know that being able to understand is important for emotional freedom. Yes doesn't mean they agree with unfairness. It just means they know they can't change something. Believe in silence when you can't protect yourself. Silence is a sign of control, and trusting silence is the only way to keep an unfair situation from turning into a never-ending fight. You can be strong and silent at the same time. A Stoic knows that being strong is more than just being able to talk. It also means being able to hold back and pick your words carefully in a world full of unfair criticism and wrongdoing. A great way to gain power and control over your life is to follow the Stoic theory. It says that if we accept the truth, trust in what is right, and use the power of silence, we will not only live an honest and patient life, but we will also give other people hope and faith in a world that is often mad. Let's go back to Lesson 6 now. Thank you, and good job for making it this far in today's film. You're here, which means you're ready for the trip. Let's move on to the final 5 lessons on how to keep our silence while we keep getting better. 6th, learn how to deal with losing. Loss is a part of life, and it can make you feel very sad and make things hard. Many things can cause loss, like the pain of losing a loved one, the sadness that comes with losing a job, or the emptiness that comes with giving up something we really care about. All of these things will happen to us along the way, and they can make us feel lost and useless as waves of sadness wash over us. The most important thing to remember when you've lost someone or something is that everything is only temporary. Life is like a trip through a stormy sea with big waves. Being calm and at peace not only helps us get through hard times, but they are also the keys to being happy and satisfied with life. We can handle any problem with wisdom if we train our minds and wait. To be calm, though, you shouldn't try to stop feeling things. Being able to accept and control all of your feelings is what it means. We can have a useful life and enjoy every moment, good or bad. Loss is a very personal thing that is hard to deal with. Some general things can help you get over losing a job, a relationship, a loved one, or something else important in your life. Let yourself cry. That's fine to do, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. Let yourself feel whatever you want when you lose someone, whether it's sadness, anger, guilt, or nothing at all. Talk to family, friends, or a support group to get help. They can be there for you and show you support during this tough time. It can help you feel less alone in your sadness to talk to other people about how you feel. Look after yourself. Take care of yourself, even if it's tough. To do this, you could build a shrine, follow traditions or routines, or think of ways to remember them by doing good things for other people. Mindfulness practices like meditation, deep breathing, and other types of mindfulness can help you stay present and calm when you are feeling very upset. Also, being aware can help you learn more about yourself and accept how you feel. You can have good and bad days, so be kind to yourself as you go through the ups and downs of losing someone. Treat yourself with kindness and care. Think about what you believe. When you've lost someone close to you, spiritual or religious beliefs can sometimes help you feel better. Think about what you believe about what life, death, and the future mean to you. Everyone deals with loss in their own way, so it's important to find what works for you. The most important thing is to be kind, patient, and gentle with yourself while you heal. 7th, Stoics stay silent when others brag. Every day, we have to deal with life's problems. Stoics say that controlling yourself is often the best way to deal with these issues. Being quiet shows that you are at peace with yourself, patient, and have a deep understanding of the world around you. When someone thanks you, don't let your pride or comfort zone get the best of you. Instead, take it in with an open mind and don't let other people's views or talk affect you. Knowing that your worth is independent of what other people think of you will give you power by remaining silent. The need for ego. In a culture that puts more value on self-promotion and self-esteem than on comfort and praise, people who don't want to join this race may feel unstable and under pressure. But being able to think for yourself and being patient are seen as very important traits. When people praise you, staying silent demonstrates your strength and deep thinking. Last but not least, staying silent when people praise you is a sign of self-control, as well as a way to make room inside for peace and mental freedom. Being silent is a sign of power and self-control in a world that often praises being lazy and proud. Number 8. How a Stoic can cross the seas of stupidity. As we go through life, we often have to cross the great seas of doubt, where the waves of mystery and the unknown are always ready to test our strength. Taking on these tasks isn't just a fight against outside problems, it's also a process of learning about and mastering yourself. Stoicism is like a light shining in the dark during those hard times. It shows us how to deal with uncertainty with patience and drive. We will always feel lost in a sea of doubt, but Stoicism teaches us that not knowing is not only a state of mind, it is what life is all about. It's normal to not know everything ahead of time. This makes room for finding, learning, and growth. Being afraid or giving up when you face confusion is not the right way to act. Silence is not a sign of weakness when you are speechless. Rather, it is a sign of strength and assurance. As we become more quiet, we become more aware of our own and other people's feelings. It also helps us control our own moods. Being stoic means reacting with maturity and depth. This helps us not only deal with the challenges of the unknown, but also get stronger and more robust. Not only is it a trip, but it is also a deep taste of what life and existence are all about. The 9th rule of silence in the face of false reports. Lack of words is not only silence, but also a smart choice that can help us learn more about ourselves and the world around us. Stoics believe that in a world full of lies, silence is not only a sign of helplessness, but also of secret strength and drive. When we choose silence, we not only give ourselves time to think and evaluate events more clearly, but we also make it clear that we won't respond quickly to false stories or criticism and won't let our emotions or questions take over. We instead stick to our honor and morals. From the point of view of the Stoics, silence doesn't mean rejection or failure. It means confidence and patience. We find freedom and inner power in silence, which gives us the strength to face and get through any problem with clarity and drive. Stoics understand that silence means more than just not talking. It means that you are mentally strong and determined to do what you need to do. They get the strength to fight back against false charges and stand up for what's right in silence. They don't let fake information hurt their views or make them doubt themselves. Instead, they see silence as a wall that keeps bad things from getting into the mind and soul. We can control our emotions and stand up for what is right and true when we are silent, which brings us peace. Then we really understand what silence means. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of mental power and clear thought. Number 10. Be okay with silence when you don't understand something. There is silence when there is doubt. In today's world of chaos and confusion, it is normal to face unclear situations and issues. Not only is silence a choice at these times, it's also an art and a fine way to show Stoic philosophy. That is why silence is so useful in a world where everything seems to float in a sea of knowledge and thought. We choose to remain silent instead of responding quickly to every sign of light or shade. This helps us stay calm when things are confusing and hard to understand. Adopting silence when you don't know what to do is not only smart, but also a spiritual sign of freedom and wisdom. But to really understand and use silence when we don't know what to do, we need to work on self-control and not let changes in the outside world throw us off balance. Instead of giving in to fear and worry, we need to learn how to stay cool and accept what we don't know. Remember that it's in silence that we can find both peace and a calm mind. Accepting silence when we don't know what will happen is more than just a plan, it's a way of life. Show how strong you are through silence and let it help you through life's problems and trials. Imagine having a very clear sense of purpose every day, not being affected by failures or the chaos around you, and always being focused on what really counts. Do you agree that it sounds almost superhuman? Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and a Stoic philosopher, lived like this every day. He was one of the most powerful people in history. His personal notes, which have been around for thousands of years, aren't just thoughts from a long time ago. They contain shockingly up-to-date tips on how to use self-discipline to deal with life's distractions. Now we're going to get to the heart of Stoicism and look at its principles not as vague ideas, but as useful tools for living a more controlled and happy life. Stoicism shows us how to use hardships to our benefit, mental turmoil to peace, and the unknowns of life as a source of strength. To deal with daily worries, find inner peace, or become more productive, learning about the Stoic way of life can help you in many ways. Stoicism teaches us to be grounded in the values of wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation, even though our world is full of things that can confuse us and give us pleasure right away. Life isn't just about getting through it, it's about living in it, no matter what. First, you need to find your purpose before you can be self-disciplined. Self-discipline starts with understanding your purpose, which is at the heart of Marcus Aurelius's worldview. What does it really mean to find your purpose, though? You need to figure out what really means to you, what drives you, and then make sure that your daily actions are in line with that greater calling. When you understand your place in the bigger picture and act in line with your ideals, you are living in agreement with nature, as Marcus Aurelius wrote a lot. Purpose was a useful guideline that Aurelius used to direct all of his decisions, from the small to the big. In his mind, knowing your purpose is what gets you out of bed in the morning, ready to take on the day's tasks. In times when you want to give up, it's what makes you strong. And it's not about big accomplishments or praise from other people. It's about doing the things that life has given you to do and being honest and committed to each one. These days, it can be hard to figure out what your purpose is. There are many options and things to do in this world that can pull us away from our real roots. This is where philosophical wisdom is not only useful, it's necessary. Stoicism teaches us to get past our shallow wants and short-lived feelings to find what is really important for our growth and well-being. We should ask ourselves, what is really worth my time and energy? What can I do today that will help the world and help me grow as a person? As we talk about how to use this idea in our daily lives, think about what you are naturally pulled to. what makes you happy, or what problems you want to fix. You can figure out your purpose from these. Once they are known, the quiet practice of daily thought is very helpful. Being self-disciplined means always making sure your actions are in line with your purpose and saying no to things that don't serve you and yes to things that do. This will help you live a useful and productive life. Marcus Aurelius had a great idea that we should use every day. Every morning, ask yourself, what do I need to do today? And every night, have I lived my life according to my purpose? You will become more self-disciplined, and your life will become more meaningful and rewarding as you do this every day. Second, have faith in yourself. When Marcus Aurelius wrote about self-discipline, he often talked about how important it is to depend on oneself. Count on yourself isn't just a phrase about being self-reliant, it's also an important part of the Stoic philosophy, which stresses the need for freedom and personal responsibility. This isn't about being alone or turning down help from others. It's about realizing that we are ultimately responsible for our actions, responses, and personal growth. If you follow Stoicism, you should focus on the things you can control. Aurelius talked a lot about how powerful the self is in facing the problems that life brings us. We use our inner strength and resilience when we depend on ourselves. This principle tells us to have faith in our own skills to handle the ups and downs of life. Confidence is gained through skill and a full understanding of one's own capabilities and values, not through arrogance. Being independent is freeing and scary at the same time. It can be hard to learn to listen to our inner voice in today's linked world, where advice and views are always close at hand. Stigma, on the other hand, teaches us to block out the noise and trust our well-thought-out decisions. Because it is based on reason and virtue, Aurelius thought that this inner direction was the most trustworthy advice that a person could have. By relying on ourselves, we also gain the freedom to make our own choices. It helps us make decisions that are in line with our ideals and beliefs, instead of letting outside forces or short-term feelings affect us. Maintaining personal ethics and living a life that is true to oneself need this freedom. How then can we start to trust ourselves? It starts with small steps, like making promises and following them, setting personal goals and working on them on our own, and giving ourselves time to think about whether our choices are in line with our core values. Over time, these habits make us more self-disciplined, which makes us stronger and more stable when life gets hard. Third, be there every day. Marcus Aurelius always talked about how important it was to keep going, to show up every day, both physically and spiritually. This practice isn't about putting in huge amounts of work all at once. It's about doing small things every day with discipline, which adds up to a structured life. For Aurelius, showing up every day was the same thing as living a quiet life in line with nature. He thought that nature didn't just want us to live, but also to take part in life and make a difference in the world through our deeds, no matter how small or ordinary they may seem. Every day was a new chance to show how committed you are to your tasks and beliefs, not to fight big battles. The idea of showing up every day is even more important in today's world, where there are many distractions and inspiration can fade quickly. Sometimes you feel motivated and then lose your way the next day. Stoicism shows us the value of being consistent in this way. True focus comes from doing things over and over again, not from doing them very hard. It's not necessary for every day to be a work of art in terms of getting things done. Instead, it's about making sure you don't waste a day by not fully utilizing it. No matter if we want to move up in our careers, get healthier, or improve our relationships, all we have to do is make the simple but often forgotten promise to show up every day. Mindfulness, or being present in the present moment and doing today's work without worrying about yesterday's mistakes or tomorrow's problems, is also closely linked to showing up every day. A lot of what Marcus Aurelius wrote was about focused on the moment and doing the job at hand as well as you can. This is what makes work into progress and habit into a right. Start small if you want to develop this practice. Figure out what it means to you to show up. For example, you could write one line of that book you've been wanting to write, work out for 5 minutes, or spend 10 minutes alone with a loved one. Not the size of the scale that changes us, but the act of showing up. Stoic philosophy says that when you keep your promise, you strengthen your willpower and build the resilience that describes it. By doing this every day, you show that you believe in taking responsibility for your actions and always trying to get better. You show that even though we can't always control what happens, we can always control how we try. We develop the discipline we need to live a meaningful and satisfying life by consistently showing up. Number 4, put yourself through choice suffering. Marcus Aurelius strongly pushed this Stoic practice, which is about a lot more than just making life hard on purpose. It involves getting ready for the unexpected things that happen in life, building resilience, and becoming more grateful for what one has. Marcus Aurelius, like many other Stoics, thought that willingly feeling uncomfortable built up the mind for times when life would make us feel uncomfortable. This could mean giving up some nice things, going through tough physical tasks, or just denying yourself in small, everyday choices. The reasoning is simple. Sudden problems won't throw you off if you're used to dealing with them. To use a metaphor, you're building up your resilience so that you can handle the problems of life with a clear head. But why choose to be uncomfortable when the world is always trying to make us feel better? The answer is in the very core of Stoic thought. A lot of growth takes place on the edges of safety zones. We try and grow our mental and emotional limits when we choose to go into places that aren't as safe for us. This practice isn't about hurting yourself. It's about changing our view of comfort from something we have to something we can choose not to have. When you choose to go through suffering, you also learn to be grateful. Everyday comforts are easy to take for granted, but when you have to go without them for a while, you really value them. This could be as easy as missing a meal, which can make you appreciate the food you do have even more, or choosing to walk instead of drive, which can make you appreciate your health and movement even more. Also, intentional suffering links us to the truth that every day many people have to live with. This link can help us understand other people better, be more empathetic, and have a better grasp on what it means to be human. It can also help us feel more grounded in the world we share with them. How then can we make this a part of our lives? Start out small. Pick something you can handle. You could get up an hour earlier, spend less time on technology for a day, or take the stairs instead of the lift. The important thing is not how hard things are, but how often and why they are done that way. Every act of pain that you choose to do is a step toward mental strength and self-discipline. 5th, work on the duality of control. This theory tells us what we can control and what we can't, and it tells us to put all of our energy into controlling what we can. This idea, which may seem easy, can completely change how we deal with life's problems, making us feel less anxious and more peaceful and resilient. So, what exactly do we have control over? Stoicism says that our actions, responses, and decisions are what make things happen. The things we have control over are our ideas, our will, and our actions. We have no direct control over anything outside of ourselves, like the weather, other people's acts, or events happening around the world. It was important to Marcus Aurelius that we don't let things outside of our control make us upset. He said this many times in his thoughts. Realizing this is the first step in practicing the dichotomy of control. We can affect what happens in the outside world, but we can't completely control it. The Stoic learns to accept this truth not as a fact to be ignored, but as a truth that frees them, Regardless of the situation, we can stay calm and productive by focusing on our own actions and letting go of our connection to results. This doesn't mean we stop caring about or being affected by the world. Instead, it means we interact with it in a more positive way, putting our efforts where they can really make a difference. To use the division of control in everyday life, we need to ask ourselves, is this within my control? Before you do anything in a situation. Stoics say to let it go and move on if it's not important. It's not easy to do this, of course. To be good at it, we need to practice being aware and sometimes remind ourselves of what we can really change. This habit also changes how we set goals and expect things to happen in real life. We all want to reach our goals, but if we base our happiness or sense of self-worth on results that are controlled by many outside factors, we will only be disappointed. Stoicism tells us to be happy with the goal itself, with staying true to our ideals, and with the work we put in. Stoic thinkers like Marcus Aurelius did not promise a life without problems. Instead, they offered a way to keep your peace and honor no matter what happens in your life. By living by this principle, we can improve not only our own lives, but also the lives of those around us by serving as an example of serenity and resilience in the face of life's inevitable ups and downs. Sixth, never make someone else look bad. This idea requires a deep knowledge of personal responsibility and a stern determination to self-mastery, rather than giving in to a victim mindset in which you see yourself as an inactive receiver of life's problems. Stoicism tells us to take control of how we think and feel. The Stoic view that our happiness and peace of mind depend more on our inner state than on what happens in the outside world is based on this idea of strength. It's not meant to downplay the problems or unfair things that people may have to deal with. Rather, it's meant to shift the attention from what happens to us to how we deal with it. Aurelius thought that every outside event gives us a choice. How will we let this shape who we are? We reject the idea that our mental health is dependent on outside factors when we refuse to play the sufferer. The door to greater personal development and resilience is opened by this freeing realization. To put this theory into practice, we begin by noticing how we usually handle tough scenarios. Do we look for outside causes or other people to blame right away? Do we spend our time whining instead of doing something about it? To break these habits, we don't have to hide our feelings. Instead, we need to understand them better and focus our energy in a more positive way. It means being aware of our hurts and losses, while also being aware of our ability to move on. Furthermore, this Stoic teaching tells us to see every problem as a chance to show virtue and improve our character. This point of view is essentially constructive and powerful. It changes times when we might feel useless into times when we have a choice and can take control of our lives. Fortitude, persistence, and resilience are traits that describe the Stoic ideal. Each task is a chance to show how committed we are to our ideals. We live up to the Stoic ideal of emotional freedom by never acting like the victim. We build a wall of peace and calm inside ourselves that lets us interact with the world in a more open and honest way. Being cold or uncaring isn't what this means. Instead, it means getting to a point where the ups and downs of life don't easily make us unhappy. So, no matter what life throws at us, we live in line with our core values instead of letting our situations decide how we live. Number 7. Learn to wait to get what you want. Marcus Aurelius pushed this idea as a way to increase freedom and happiness, as well as a personal practice. Stoics believe that controlling your urges by waiting satisfaction is not about giving up pleasure, but about finding a better form of joy that fits with your values and long-term goals. In the philosophical sense, Delayed pleasure means putting off short-term wants in order to get bigger, longer-lasting benefits. It's about making decisions that might not make you happy right away, but will lead to long-term happiness and growth as a person. In our fast-paced world, where everything happens right away, this concept is especially important because being able to wait for something better is a rare and useful skill. Stoics like Aurelius believed that delaying satisfaction was also a way to keep control over one's wants. He thought that being bound to temporary pleasures could make a person lose their freedom because they would be forced to follow their whims and desires. Instead, we can create a life that is not only full of short-term pleasures, but also of permanent peace and happiness by being careful and basing our decisions on facts and planning ahead. Making easy changes to your habits can help you start using delayed satisfaction in your daily life. It could mean putting money away instead of spending it on impulse, picking a healthy meal over fast food, or even setting aside time to study or practice a skill instead of doing something fun right away. Each of these options supports the Stoic practice of putting long-term benefits ahead of short-term pleasure or ease. Delaying satisfaction has many benefits, including better job, school, health, and personal relationships. Research in psychology supports the Stoic view by showing a link between this practice and better results. People who can wait to get what they want are often better at dealing with stress, meeting their goals, and living healthy, happier lives. 8. Ignore people who say bad things. This idea goes beyond simply not listening to negative feedback. It's about developing mental resilience that enables you to stay true to your beliefs and focused on your goals, even when other people are doubting you. Stoics believe that the acceptance or disapproval of others is out of their control and should not be used for personal support or direction. Marcus Aurelius wrote a lot about focusing on actions and thoughts that you can control. He stressed that real happiness comes from inside and can't be shaken by comments from others. Being calm doesn't mean you don't care about other people. It means you keep your personal center of control. It tells us to block out noise that doesn't support our higher purpose or match our ideals. Ignoring critics is very important in today's world, where everyone has an opinion, and criticism is often just a click away. It means realizing that negative criticism shouldn't stop us from our goals, but helpful criticism can help us grow. This difference is very important. Stoicism teaches us to think about where and why feedback comes from. Is it well informed? Is it meant well? Does it fit with what we believe in? Using this idea also means making your own philosophy strong enough to stand up to outside forces. It means being sure of your choices and actions, not because you're cocky, but because you know your own values and goals very well. Marcus Aurelius did this every day, both as a leader and as a person trying to live a virtue-filled life in a complicated world. We become less susceptible to negative views and more focused on our long-term goals when we are able to ignore naysayers, which also increases our mental resilience. Being able to break out of the social reinforcement loop and stay true to yourself is both rare and powerful in a society that puts a lot of value on it. Ignoring people who don't agree with you is a tough practice that helps us protect our mental space and choose where to put our emotional energy. It's about not letting noise from outside our heads take our attention away from the conversation going on inside our heads that really shapes our lives. 9. Look for wise people to be like. This idea comes from the idea that we can learn a lot and grow as people by watching and thinking about the lives of people who have learned the virtues we want to develop. To be like smart people, we don't have to copy them, but we can learn from them to improve our own character and reasoning. Even though Marcus Aurelius was ruler, he wrote a lot about how much he admired people, both past and present. Being like these people was a way for him to take on their skills and traits. He and other Stoics thought that wisdom wasn't just abstract ideas, but also a way to live a good life. They thought that the best way to understand these ideas was to look at the deeds of people who have used them well. Figuring out who to be like in Stoicism means finding people who have the Stoic values of wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation. These people could be real figures, people who lived at the same time, or even characters from stories and fiction who show traits like resilience, morality, and logic. The important thing is to find people whose lives show you how to deal with problems with ease and drive. Putting this theory into practice today means choosing role models whose values are in line with our goals. It's not enough to just admire these people. You need to think about how they live their lives, make choices, and deal with problems. This practice makes us think, what parts of this person's behavior or way of thinking can I use to make my own decisions and actions better? Also, trying to be like smart people can help you connect vague intellectual ideas with real-life deeds. It shows how the ideas of the Stoics can be put into practice. So, these ideas are not only easier to understand, but they are also more convincing when we see how Stoic virtues change the lives of people we respect. We are actively learning and improving ourselves when we look for and try to be like smart people. We are more committed to growth and success when we take a strategic attitude to personal development. By spending time with good people, we set a high bar for our own actions and choices, which helps us become the smart people we want to be like. 10th, be honest about how your day went. It's not just a matter of remembering what happened, it also includes a deep and thoughtful look at your thoughts, actions, and reactions throughout the day. You have to figure out if these actions are in line with your beliefs and Stoic qualities, like balance, justice, wisdom, and bravery. It's important to think about yourself because it acts as a feedback loop that makes you more aware of your choices and actions. Stoics use this daily review to notice and make adjustments, not to focus on mistakes or engage in self-criticism. It means learning something new every day and using that new information to keep getting better. By using this method, Marcus Aurelius made sure that he was not only doing his job as ruler, but also improving as a person and a philosopher. It can be very helpful to incorporate this technique into everyday life. It tells us to take a moment to think about the day before bed. You can ask yourself a few important questions at this point, such as, how did I handle challenges today? Did I follow my values when I did what I did? How could I have done better? Did I lose control of things at times? If so, why? When you think about these things, you become more self-aware and learn how to live a more thoughtful and mindful life. This practice can also help you feel calm and finished at the end of each day. It lets you deal with any worries or thoughts that are still bothering you by facing them head-on instead of putting them off until the next day. It's easy to lose sight of our bigger goals in today's busy world, where there are lots of distractions and stress. This can be especially helpful. When you honestly think back on your day, you hold yourself accountable in a way that is both gentle and strict. It's about being honest about your skills and weaknesses without judging yourself. Being both a student and a teacher on your life's journey, constantly learning from your own experiences and trying to live up to the ideals that define Stoicism, is what this Stoic habit teaches you, and it also helps you develop resilience and wisdom. Over time, this habit can change not only how you see each day, but also how you live your life, making each day more in line with the values you hold dear. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the principles of Stoicism and the transformative power of self-reinvention. As we conclude this guide, remember that the path to personal mastery is a continuous one. Each day presents a new opportunity to apply what you've learned and move one step closer to the best version of yourself. We encourage you to revisit these lessons often, reflect on your progress, and keep challenging yourself to live with purpose and resilience. Stoicism isn't just a philosophy, it's a practical toolset for living well, no matter what challenges you face. If you've found value in this guide, consider sharing it with others who might benefit from its teachings. Together, we can build a community of strong, wise individuals who approach life's challenges with calm and determination. Thank you for your time and dedication. Embrace the Stoic path